Hey guys, welcome to the third C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to begin looking at variables. And variables are basically just something that you can use to store the value of something in. You've probably used variables in math before. Well, today the first thing that I'm going to show you how to do is create a variable to just store the number 5 in. So the first thing you need to do when creating a variable is write out the type of data that you want to store inside of your variable. And we want to be storing numbers inside of our variable, so I'm just going to type out int. And int stands for an integer. So we're going to be creating a variable that can store integer numbers inside of it. So we can store 1, 2, 3, all those numbers, and we can store negative numbers as well. Just no fractions, so we can't store anything with a decimal point inside of it. So after you've typed out the type of data that you're going to be storing inside of your variable, you need to name your variable. So I'm just going to call this variable my number. And then once you've written out the name for your variable, you're going to want to give your variable some value. And to do that, you're just going to want to type out the equal sign and then type the number that you want your variable to be equal to. I want to make my variable equal to 5, so I'm just going to type out 5 and then end the line with a semicolon. So now, every time that we want to access the number 5, instead of writing out 5, we can just type out my number, since the value stored in my number is 5. Now let's just go ahead and create another variable that stores the number 7 in it. So again, we have to type out the type of variable that we're going to be creating. So we're going to be storing integers in our next variable, so we need to type out int, and then we need to name our variable. You can name it anything that you want. I'm just going to call it my second number, and this time I'm going to set it equal to 7. So now in this variable called my second number, we're storing the number 7. Now let's go ahead and create a third variable that is going to be equal to the sum of my number and my second number. So we're just going to do int my third number and set this equal to my number plus my second number. Alright, so now the value of my third number is the sum of my number plus my second number. So the value of my third number is going to be equal to 12, since the sum of 5 and 7 is 12. Now let me just go ahead and show you how to print out onto the screen the value of a variable. To do that, you're just going to want to type out print f, and then what you're going to want to do is type 2 quotes and then do the percent sign and then I, and then after your 2 quotes put a comma and then the name of your variable that you want to print out onto the screen. I'm going to be printing out the variable my third number so that we can just make sure that this line of code works properly here, so that it is actually adding my number plus my second number. So on our screen we should see 12, and let me just go ahead and end this line right here. Alright, so you're probably wondering why we need to do this right here. Well, basically what it's going to do is it's just going to replace this %i with the value of my third number. And we have to do %i because we're printing out an integer onto the screen. And we could put as much text before this and after it if we wanted to. So we could say the value of my third number is, and then %i. And then what it will do is it will say the value of my third number is, and then whatever value is stored in this my third number variable right here. So let's just go ahead and run this program and make sure that it works. And as we can see, we got out onto the screen, the value of my third number is 12, since the sum of 5 and 7 is 12. And if you wanted to, you could do any mathematical operator here that you wanted to. So let's say that we wanted to subtract whatever value is in my second number from whatever value is stored in my number right here. So we could just do my number minus my second number, and on the screen we should get -2, since 5 minus 7 is -2. Yep, -2. And we could do multiplication as well. And to do that, you're just going to want to print out or type out an asterisk. So just hold shift and click 8. And then let me just go ahead and run this again right here, and we should get 35. Yep. And to do division, you're just going to want to go ahead and do a slash right there. And let's just go ahead and run this. And we see that it got 0. And you're probably wondering, well, 5 divided by 7 certainly isn't 0. And that's because inside of integer variables you can only store integers, so it can't store any number with a decimal point in it. So what it does is it just chops off all the numbers after that decimal place. So even if it got 0.99999, it would still print out 0 every time. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial we're going to continue looking at variables. So see you guys.